Good morning, people. It is Tuesday, and we are on Chapter 4 in Technocracy Rising. And it is talking about, of all things, transforming economics. Now, in this one, Mr. Wood talks about Agenda 21. So I'm just going to show you some books right quick, and I'll give you links to pick up. It is this one here, the UN 2030 Sustainable Development, a critique. Where it all started is Agenda 21. This was what they did back in 1992 in Rio de Janeiro. It's pretty thick. This is the way it's laid out. Really, this is something you gotta commit some time to looking through. But it does give answers to things. And one of my personal favorite books that breaks all this down is this one. Living with Agenda 21, Surrendering Our Freedoms by Dr. H. Lawrence Zillmer. This is fantastic. I mean, he really goes through, breaks it down. He talks about the banking cartel, the financial coup on our government that happened in 1913, which The Creature from Jekyll Island, our next book I'm going to read, goes more detail with that. He talks about private and public partnerships, and just really, really goes through it. Now, something we need to understand with this new Green Deal, there's more to it than what it seems. It sounds nice. It sounds environmentally but trust me, there's more to it than just the BS to it. Now, Chapter 4 talks about going from a price-based economics to where you get credits. The less energy you use, the more credits you get. Think of it as, if you only use like 60 kilowatts during a month, you get 120 credits. Well, you can pay that bill with those credits. Talks about decoupling resources in land. And he talked very thoroughly about this in Chapter 4. I was really surprised to see how in depth he went for one chapter, and it made me think about these other books that I had. Here's something. The apparent lunacy of technocracy becomes more clear as you dig deeper into it. How is it then that we find the United Nations as the primary driver for technocracy? Now remember, the United Nations did not exist until the 1940s, after World War II. They were originally the League of Nations after World War I. And it was John D. Rockefeller II who donated the land in Manhattan where the Twin Towers used to stand. Now it's the One World Center, some crap like that. in New York City, in downtown Manhattan. Now, this is a pressing question. How did the United Nations come to be the main driving force for technocracy? And what have we been seeing over the last couple of years? Smart cars. Well, they're not so smart because they run over people. Because they don't have a human to make the judgments to stop. Now, I will admit, refrigerators that can call a technician when they're having a problem before we realize they have a problem is kind of interesting. Kind of. Not enough. Really. That just kind of goes into a whole other world of insanity there. But here's the deal. Now, this New Green Deal is going to tax cows as they fart. How do you tax a natural function of a living, breathing being? I don't get that. Are they going to have somebody out there counting every time the cow farts? And who the hell's going to pay for this? Ugh, my God, people. Come on. Now, here's the deal. Agenda 21 is technocracy's plan for the 21st century. The agent of implementation is sustainable development. Now, when they say something you got to keep in mind, when they say sustainable development, they're not talking about real sustainable development. If you want to see real sustainable development, go watch Alaska: The Last Frontier. Watch Otto Kelcher build a milking station for his wife, Charlotte, so she can milk their cows. He took an old horse trailer, restructured it, renovated it. He built a cow brawl from a few pieces of fabric, an old-fashioned sewing machine that you had to have your foot on the pedal that goes, as you do this with your foot on the pedal, the needle operates. It's not automatic. It's not electric, what I'm trying to think of. He built a nursery, a calf nursery, and materials that was around him. That, as you look the word up, sustainable, that is sustainable. What the United Nations want is sustainable. It's to control who does the fishing, where they fish, which fish they catch, who can eat lobster and who cannot. That is what their ideal is. That is what the United Nations wants. That's their very ideal. Now, for the economy, they want us, you and me, to own nothing. Rent your phone. You lease your phone. You lease your stove. You lease your refrigerator. Hell no. No. I'm not leasing my refrigerator. So when I need it, it's brought up. No. Absolutely not. I certainly am not going to lease my KitchenAid mixer. No, thank you. Their ideal. I wish I still had this article. It was like a futuristic perspective is how it's written. I own nothing. I'm freer than ever. Was the whole message the lady sent, was conveying. And she didn't own a cell phone. She leased it. And she could trade up whenever she wanted. She didn't own a laptop. She leased it and traded it whenever she wanted. Which doesn't sound like such a bad idea. She didn't have a car. She shared bike. She shared a car. Now that I can understand. As a matter of fact, I'm considering doing that. I wish we had a car share program around here where I live. But the closest one is Ann Arbor. And I am not moving to Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor is a college town. All these snot-nosed brats that think they got the life by the balls. No thank you. And I can say that because I was that 20-something at one point. Thought I had a life by the balls, but I didn't know nothing. I realize that now. Anyway. Now we see people trying to move to a green economy. Well, it's going to be determined by how much stuff you eat. What you eat. Do you eat beans for the most? Do you eat plant-based stuff? And oh my god, KFC has got a Beyond Meat item. But I go to KFC, it's because 1, I want fried chicken. 2, I can't justify getting my kitchen all dirty and frying it up just for one person. So I don't want to eat some fried plant stuff being passed off as chicken. Fried chicken. No. Antonio and I went to Taco Bell Friday. I know, it's high fat and just completely not the best thing in the world for you. But they have vegetarian menu. Yeah. Vegetarian menu with items prepared right next to meat. That makes a hell of a lot of sense. Why didn't I think of that? Anyway, that goes into part of this green economy. It's going to shrink the culinary choices that we have. It's going to make, in theory, now this is a theory, going to make fruits and vegetables and like jackfruit that can be used in place of meat more affordable, and they're going to make meat higher priced. Well, I'm going to believe it when I see it. 2, ain't no smoked pulled jackfruit going to replace pulled pork. I mean, I am a Southern girl. I am going to eat pulled pork. I don't give a cat's furry ass what these little culinary Nazis want. I'm going to do it. Anyway, this book talks about getting behind the green mask, which is what goes into getting behind that green mask. And The Rules for Radicals was a book that was written by Saul Alinsky. He goes into how the NGOs and how they work. Now, an NGO, you gotta understand, an NGO is a non-governmental organization. How in the world these people get access to the White House and top secret information that they should not have because they're non-governmental is beyond me. Anyway, Mr. Wood goes into very detailed about how all this stuff is coming around. He talks about the real declaration. Let me just read a small part of it here. The Brundtland Report provided the momentum for the landmark 1992 Rio Summit that laid the foundation for global institutionalization for sustainable development. Agenda 21 included 40. That is no joke. Yo, this, if I threw this at someone, I would probably give them a concussion and kill them. It's so heavy. Separate chapters setting out actions in regard to social and economical dimensions of sustainable development, conservation, and management of natural resources, the role of major groups, and means of implementation. Go over to YouTube, look up Grindle61. Gary Galeno has been talking about this stuff for years because all this has been unfolding in Southern California. There's bike lanes, the car lanes are all screwed up. It's so difficult to get from point A to point B. And it's so much more stressful than what it ever was. He does a great job at showing it. Now he goes into detail with some familiar names. George H. Bush. H.W. Bush, like you know. Clinton. And all these characters, Jimmy Carter even, who long since not been president over a decade, were involved with it. What is sustainable? I'm just going to give you a brief description, okay? What does the green economy mean in practical terms? To answer the question, we must turn to the official documents, which is this here. Agenda 21, the Program of Action for Sustainable Development, which is what that is, from Rio. Page 294. This was published in 1992. Now, here's the deal. Global Biodiversity Assessment. This 1,140-page document was published. It talks about what it's going to be. Education. Well, they pretty much screwed that up, haven't they? Chapter 36. Education is critical for programming, for promoting, programming, whatever. It's the same result, really. Sustainable development and improving. I haven't seen any improvements. The capacity of people to address environmental and developmental issues. Members agree to achieve environmental and development awareness in all sectors of society on a worldwide scale. Well, it sounds like worldwide brainwashing to me. Free trade. Okay, first of all, there is no free trade. There's fair trade. There's open trading. There's nothing free about it. Agenda 21's treatment of fair trade and protectionism quickly gave way to the people who created it, namely the members of the Trilateral Commission and the globalist friends like Donald Trump. Not surprising that A21 states all nations should halt and reverse protectionism in order to bring about further liberalization and expansion of world trade, facilitate the integration of all countries into the world economy and international trading system, implementing provisions, commitments to hold and reverse protectionism and further expand market access. What they're really talking about here is limiting what can be traded and what things can be traded for. That is what they're really talking about. Agriculture. Oh goody, here we go. Geobiodiversity assessment calls for a reduction of agriculture acreage. That is the reduction of meat products by reducing the acreage for the animals to live, i.e. factory farms. The most disgusting abomination to humankind has ever developed came out of this. Moving on. Dams and reservoirs. Yippee. Here we go. Policies and calls for the destruction and removal of dams. Now last year we seen that dam out in California having problems because they're getting ready to kill it off. Now, property rights. Oh, here we go. Those pesky little property rights. Private property is eschewed, calling for government control and of rights and resources that will be licensed, i.e. taxed, that we pay. In certain situations, property rights can still be allocated to environmental public goods. But in this case, they should be restricted to use, functional, whatever, or user rights, harvesting quotas, emission permits, and development rights. Okay. The word usufruct is derived from Roman law and means the legal right of using and enjoying the fruits or profits of something belonging to another, which basically means public domain. How many times have we seen a story about a local government forcing people off their land because their land could be better utilized by the city of whatever for the public? Does it ever get utilized? No. And meanwhile, you got people that are homeless. Congratulations, you're a moron, right? Anyway, land, because of its unique nature and the critical role it plays in human settlements, cannot be treated as ordinary asset controlled by individuals, you and me, and subject to the pressures of inefficiencies of the market. In other words, we should not be allowed to buy 10 acres, fence it off, and put a house in the middle of it and dare some government fascist pig to trespass. We shouldn't be allowed to do that. We shouldn't be allowed to require them to have a warrant, as they once were. No. According to Carla A. Hills, in 1976, she used a Trilateral Commission. There you go. Member. This was her attitude about property rights. Now, I can bet you anything. This woman was a billionaire. Probably had 6 homes all over the world. Was getting on her private jet, flying everywhere, polluting the air. Because these people are just complete hypocrites. Mr. Al Gore, with his 3,000 square foot home, not one solar panel or wind turbine in sight, and a honking giant air conditioning unit you could put in my apartment. Yeah, that's what these people live. That's how they live. Population control. Yippee! Boy, I'm on for this one. It is stated the obvious that all economic activity ultimately depends on people as consumers. People buy things for survival and for pleasure. Increasing population has afforded economic growth in America since the day it was founded in 1776. Of course, according to the Agenda 21, that will stop. We will no longer be able to buy anything. We will lease it. Like my phone. I will have to lease my phone because, hey, why do I want to own a phone when I can lease it, trade it in for a new model, even though it works perfectly well, and I have to move my contacts from one phone to the other, which is a complete pain in the ass. It takes well over 2 hours to do, most of the time. And then I gotta go back through and put all my apps back on. Seriously, people. No, you see, their plan for us is to live in. Now, I have nothing against tiny houses. Don't get me wrong. I have nothing against them. If you are a single person, you do not have a desire to entertain, the best way to not have people come over is say, hey, why don't you come on over to my 60 square foot apartment where I have ramen? That will send people running the other direction every time. Now, yeah, I can understand that one completely. Information management. Here we go. As documented in the Technocracy study course in 1934, 3 of the original requirements were: provide a continuous inventory of all production and consumption. 2. Provide a specific registration of the type and kind, etc., of all goods and services, barcode. Okay. Number 3. Provide specific registration of the consumption of each individual, plus a record and description of the individual. Face recognition and credit cards. There you go. Not only that, but let's go a step further. Remember, the protocols of the learned elders of Zion mentions that they are going to own every newspaper, every news station, every magazine, every movie studio. Nothing will get past them to us without their approval. Information management. We are living in it. We are seeing it. This man nailed it. Nailed it perfectly. Now, next week is transforming government. Oh God, I can't wait for that one. Seeing how well ours is going. Anyway, I will leave you a link. I have taken up almost a half hour of your time. I've got bread to make. I'm gonna use that pull and loaf. I'll put that video here on Thursday. And I will see you guys tomorrow.